Week 5 was a doozy. It was really good. We had a lot of good games. A lot of teams were, and I mentioned that a little bit with Jake Crane on Thursday. And shout out to Jake Crane from Crane & Company for appearing on Pigskin Frenzy this past Thursday. Awesome episode. Go back and listen to that episode, and also go listen to Crane & Company. They're really good at what they do. We have a very special guest for our recap show. I said that she was going to appear at least once a month on this show, and we got her back on the Team 2J and Pigskin Frenzy partnership. It hits hard, as the young kids say. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris. And whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Podbean, or Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by us. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram is at pigskin_frenzy. The website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we are excited and stoked to have our first recap show of the, with another guest with us. So we have the daughter of NC State offensive line coach Garrett Tujague, the older sister of Utah State defensive lineman Carson Tujague. And I'm sorry for messing this up, Savanah. Her sister also works for Utah State. I don't really know her name that well. You can say it if you want to. Guys, she's the host of On the Sidelines with Sav from Total Coverage Sports, Savanah Tujague. Golf clap. Golf clap. Savanah, what's up?
Not much. I am so happy to be here. Yes, my sister does also work at Utah State. Her name is Summer, Savanah and Summer, 2 S names. But yeah, it's been a while since I've been introduced as Coach Tujague's daughter. Most people talk to him and say, "Oh, you're the dad of that girl on Twitter." So it's so funny. And then, yeah, my little brother, same thing. People are like, "Oh, you're the brother of that girl on Twitter." So super funny. But yeah, so happy to be here. So excited to talk ball. Super fun to be back on your channel. It's always a great time.
Well, and the thing is, you're not just known, to me at least, you're not just the girl, oh, you're that coach's daughter on Twitter. To me, you're making a name for yourself, especially with your show. And I mean, everything's going good, it sounds like. Talk about your show really quick. I know we're going to talk about week 5 and recap and coaching carousel stuff, but let's talk about your show really quick. How's that going? On the Sideline with Sav, your show. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. It's called On the Sidelines with Sav. It's on Total Coverage Sports. It was just rebranded from Ghost and Friends. He runs a Texas account and also Total Coverage Sports. So I just have a show on his channel. We do an ACC recap every week, and then we usually do one other show, whether it's like a game preview, a coach's interview, players, coaches' families, that kind of stuff. It's really fun. It's cool because a lot of people, if you work in this space, you know that you typically have to go through schools' media teams to get interviews with like coaches and players and stuff. And fortunate enough to not really have to do that just because I know these people personally. So if you're ever interested in like watching interviews with coaches or players or staff or coaches' families and wives and stuff who normally don't hop on those podcasts, definitely the place for you to check out for sure. And same, we're on YouTube, so like and subscribe.
See, guys, go and do it. I'm gonna put her info on the graphic. She's gonna have her socials on there, and it's gonna be at Savanah Tujague, right, with a 2 and the J. So just go and follow her and go and like her YouTube show and her show in general. So let's talk about week 5 of college football. Whew. Man, it was a doozy. I'm not gonna lie. I know you said you were a little bit busy during, some of the games, and not respectable. I mean, look, you're Savanah Tujague. Of course you're going to be busy during all of this, right? So we're going to touch briefly, at least on my end, because I said I was going to touch briefly on it, but Ohio State, Washington, I watched the game, obviously. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down, but there's really, to me, it was just the one that I got right out of the Pigskin Frenzy games. I mean, final score of the game was 24-6. Ohio State beats Washington on the road. Jillian Saint's first road start. What did you like about Ohio State in this game overall?
I think And like you said, just so everybody knows, I was watching my brother play football at Vandy. He had a game. He plays at Utah State. I was watching his game during this game, so I didn't see most of it. I saw the highlights, though. I've been high on Ohio State all year. I knew they'd be good. I know a lot of people like to hate on Ryan Day, but I think he's incredible. I think he's a good coach. People said he was born on third base, hasn't had to work hard a day in his life. If you think that, I highly suggest you watch his 30 for 30 on the life that he has lived. But I think what it says most is that they're a good team. Supposedly, Washington's not a bad team, supposedly, and they beat them on the road like they should. They didn't play with their food. They got the job done. Like you said, Julian Sands, first road game, and he showed up and showed out. Obviously, their defense is good too, which not that it was any question, but I think a lot of people had a lot of eyes on the offense for Ohio State going into this season. They have one of the best wide receiving cores in the country, arguably best. Supposedly Clemson's is good too, but I'm not convinced at this point. And so I think that that's the bottom line. It was just a good showing of college football, both sides of the ball. They got the job done and got the road dub. It's also important to note the time change. It's really hard to win those big time difference games. And again, got the job done.
Absolutely. For Ohio State in general, so on this show we have, for recap shows, we have positive circle moments where we take a little imaginary pen here, or at least in my case, I have a pen, and we circle what was good about each team and what was bad about each team. Positive and negative circle moments. I think the positives were, 6 for 10 on third down. They were really good on third down, I believe. I think that Ohio State on third down was just lighting them up.
Yeah.
I believe the running game, 149 rushing yards compared to Washington's 61. Pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. Ohio State's running game was pretty superb. And then, look, everyone's going to say, why didn't Jeremiah Smith crack the 100-yard plus receiving? It doesn't have to be like that every game. He still had an electrifying game. 81 yards, 8 receptions, 1 touchdown. Still, he looked really, really good. I think the overall bottom line for Ohio State to me is they're outmanned Washington. And that sounds, okay, why are you hating on the Huskies? I'm not. I think Devon Williams Jr., Denzel Boston, and Jonah Coleman on offense, that trio is electrifying. I just think depth-wise, personnel-wise, Ohio State's just different level. There's a level, and Washington is just not currently on it right now, even though I think Jed Fish is a great coach. I really do.
And I think part of it too is just that, I hate to say it, they're just a little in shambles since DeBoer left for Alabama. And like any program is these days with the transfer portal and the way it is. So, yeah, I don't think they've recouped from that.
Yeah. And I think that overall, if you want to talk about, those are the positives for me, I think the only really negative is, they had 1 fumble and maybe 5 penalties for 60 yards. So if Ohio State can clean that up, that's a negative circle moment for us for here at Pigskin Frenzy for them. I think if they just clean that up a little bit, that'll be fine. But yet again, I think they can. I think they will. And Ohio State's just going to keep on trucking along. I'm curious to see what Ohio State can do as they move along, get ready, and gear up for that Penn State game later on entering October. I know that's later in the month, or I think maybe in November. I may be not mistaken. It may be early November is when that game is. But I'm curious to see what Ohio State's going to do before then, honestly, and how they're going to look. There are some weak spots on the team, but in a way, it sounds kind of bad to say this. How do we really know, if that makes sense?
Yeah. At this point, maybe this is a hot take. I come on your show and I drop hot takes like they're candy.
Yeah, you really do, but it's fine.
I'm on a roll, I guess.
Yeah.
I, at this point, think Ohio State destroys Penn State. That game is November 1st. You're right, Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
And it's at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we'll get into the Oregon-Penn State game here in a second.
Yeah.
But my thoughts on that, I guess, are to come as to why, and you'll see why I think Ohio State will destroy them.
Yeah, I think that's a very good take. And we're about to talk about Oregon and Penn State here in a little bit. But let's talk about Washington just a tad bit before we, move on. We're kind of like Josh Pate on this show. We talk about the winners and the losers here. So we're going to break them down as well. Obviously, the negative circle moments are 61 rushing yards and 1 for 11 on third down. They could not convert on third down. They just couldn't do it. Could that be a problem in the future for Washington, or do you think that was just, okay, we just played a really good Ohio State team?
I think it kind of goes back to the fact that I just don't think the Washington we're going to get is the Washington that was there during the DeBoer years at this point. I just don't, they haven't recovered from that. And so I think, while I think that this was one of their, arguably the hardest game on the schedule, I think they finished the season at best 8-4.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's understandable. A lot of people have them like being a sneaky team in the playoffs. Jake Crane mentioned them being, going to the playoffs too. I was like, okay, that's a very interesting take. I like that. It's a bold take. So
that's a bold take.
That's a very bold take. I like that. But Jake Crane's full of bold takes. Crane and Company in general is full of bold takes. So shout out to those guys still. I think the positive circle moments for us here for Washington, I mean, really, is probably the turnovers. They didn't turn the ball over at all against Ohio State. So I think that's something to take away from that game. They were protecting the ball really well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And then, I mean, 4.4 yards, I mean, per play. I mean, yeah, get better at that, obviously. But yet again, Washington, if you look at their schedule and the remaining part of their schedule, I mean, Maryland, they should, in my opinion, should beat Maryland. I mean, who else? You look at Maryland, Rutgers. They have a battle against Michigan on October 18th. That's probably going to be their next big-time game they play. And then after that, there's a 2-game stretch there, Michigan and then Illinois on October 25th. So that one's going to be kind of a stretch too. Illinois, they bounce back. We're not talking about that one, but they did bounce back. So let's just see about Washington, right? So, I mean, final score of that game was 24-6. I mean, there's really nothing else to say, but Ohio State just outmanned Washington. That's all you got to say. They just outmanned them. But let's move on and talk about Oregon and Penn State. That one's going to be a good one because we can get into depth about that one a little bit. 30-24 was the final score. I got that one wrong, guys. That's one of the games I got wrong for Pigskin Frenzy. 30-24. I picked Penn State to win that game. I thought they were, but we know how James Franklin is with big-time games. It always happens. Each and every time. It always happens. But, hey, we still pick them, guys. This is why we do what we do. We pick them. 30-24 was the final score. Oregon over Penn State in double overtime. So let's talk about Oregon for a second. That's a very hard place to go and win, especially during a whiteout. Dan Lanning's, and this is, by the way, I don't know if you know the stat, that was his first overtime win as a head coach, and his first overtime as a head coach in general. So that was interesting. Yeah. So talk about Oregon. I mean, do you think that they're worthy of a lot of the talk they're getting right now? Everyone's talking about, hey, they're the best team in college football again at this point. That's what everyone's saying. We got Danny Cannell out here from CBS Sports saying it. What do you think?
Do I think they're the best team in CFB? No. Do I think they should regularly be the best team in CFB? Yes. Because if you can't win with that Nike money, how are you going to win anywhere?
Right.
This game was crazy, right? Going into the half, it was tied 3-3. So all the action happened in the second half. Oregon had 424 yards.
Yeah.
They had 248 passing, almost 200 rushing, very balanced offense. I think they did great. Dante Moore threw 3 touchdowns, 1 in overtime. Great game. I think this is a stat. Penn State's record all time since the inception of the whiteout in 2004 is 13-8, which I think is probably shocking to people.
Yeah.
Like, you would assume they've won more than that. I, for personal reasons, was rooting for Penn State in this game, but I had a feeling that they wouldn't win it. It's like you said, everyone knows James Franklin is like not known for putting these ones away. But back to Oregon. I think they had a good game. I think they did great. I think they deserve to win. Like you said, really hard environment to win in. I think that they're a top 3 team currently. I think it's hard to say. I think it's hard to count out Ohio State, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's kind of my takeaways from the game. Really good offense, really good. I mean, the offense is what showed up, right? Really good defense in the first half, but something happened, and at least they turned the gas on the offense for the second half.
Right. I think positive circle moment for me is Dante Moore. I mean, he looked really good. And a lot of people were at least from, I had some guys text me and some friends text me. They're like, you think Dante Moore's actually legit? I'm like, just wait and see,
Yeah.
He'll show you. Just watch him play. And this past Saturday was one of those, okay, we watched him play, and he showed out against it was a top, I believe, top 10 matchup, right? Top 10 matchup, right? So, or top 6, rather, matchup. So, yeah, he balled, and he played like he was poised, not really like a true freshman, it seemed like, in a lot of ways. And he looked like he was like, all right, I'm a veteran-minded quarterback. I'm going to go in. This crowd's not going to faze me. All white's not going to faze me. I'm going to go in, and we're going to show people that we're Oregon and that we're going to, outlast this crowd and this whole whiteout, And a lot of that was Dan Lanning, I believe. But, I mean, in the mindset that he's presenting through this offense and this whole team. But, I mean, Dante Moore, 3 touchdowns, 248 yards. You look, like you said, 424 yards compared to their 276. Big positive circle moment there. They did have more penalties, really, than Penn State, but not like to the point where it was going to really cost them the game. Rather, they protected the ball, and time of possession looked really good as well. I think there's not really a lot of negatives to say about Oregon in this game, honestly. I think my only concern that I had that could have been a negative was, were they going to be able to compete with them up front? Because they did kind of get pushed around against Northwestern. But they showed that, hey, we're going to go into Happy Valley and play some strong football up front. And they did. They really did. They competed up front. So good on Dan Lanning and good on Oregon. I mean, honestly, they looked really good up front. They looked good offensively. We'll see how it goes during the rest of the year. I mean, I think their next big showdown is Indiana, I believe. Top 10. And that could... I don't want to say it could go. I mean, it could go either way. Who knows? But that's going to be, I think, their next big test. So Oregon looks good. Do you think that Dan Lanning overall and just Oregon overall, do you think at this point is like at the head to make the Big Ten championship right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be Ohio State and somebody else.
Okay.
I don't know if that somebody else is. I think it might be Indiana.
Okay. It could be. And it could be. Indiana looked good against
crazy?
Illinois.
Is that crazy? It could also be Illinois. Because I was like, oh, could it be Penn State? No, because they lost the head-to-head, right? So, like, not them likely.
Yeah.
And especially if Penn State loses to Ohio State, which I project happening. I don't know. Something's telling me they're not.
Yeah. So, look, I think let's look at the rest of their schedule, honestly, at that point. We broke down Oregon just right now. So let's talk about the rest of their schedule. So they have a bye this week, and then they play Indiana. So that could be it. That loss right there could maybe, I don't know. They may hold them back. Maybe. But then they have Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and then Washington. So I believe if you want to kind of say, besides Indiana, the games that I would look out for would be, honestly, USC and Washington overall.
Yeah, because everything goes out the window on rivalry week. I'm sorry. There doesn't matter how good or bad you are. There's very few exceptions to that rule, in my opinion. I do think I agree with you on the SC game. I think that's a trap game. I think it's also hard sandwiched between not looking ahead to playing Washington, your rival, and Minnesota, who isn't good but isn't bad.
Right.
So, and they've historically struggled with SC in the past. I think what helps them out is that it's at their place. But I agree. I think that's a trap game for them. I think that's a rough. That last 3-game stretch is tough, and luckily, I think it works in their favor that they're coming off their bye to play Indiana. We know that the winning record after bye week is high and probable for mostly all teams. So I think so. But yeah, I think the winner of the Indiana Oregon game is the other Big Ten championship team.
Poor Penn State. That's all I have to say. Poor Penn State. Because in my eyes, and I mean, maybe I can't back out of my predictions. They were the preseason favorite in my eyes to win the whole Big Ten. They were number one to win the Big Ten. And then the Villanova and FIU game started coming up. And then it started being like, okay, what's going on with their offense a little bit? They kind of look a little sluggish starting. And then they start, all of a sudden, they're blowing them out, again. But then they, start off a little bit sluggish. I felt like this game, it caught up to them a little bit. I really do. I feel like their slow start caught up to them a little bit, and Oregon just capitalized on it. Poor Penn State. Big-time game. James Franklin loses a close one. I think, and then I'll let you go. I was going to wrap it up. But I think positively, if you want to look at it, I mean, 6 for 15 on third down, not too shabby. I mean, obviously, everything could be better, but not too shabby. They converted on all their fourth downs. They had very little penalties, so they played a really clean game. I think the one crucial turnover, obviously, to end the game and ice it was, okay, kind of brings back harsh memories from Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl last year with Drew Allard, again, sealing it with another interception for the other team. But if you want to look at the running game didn't do all that bad, but it's kind of crazy to think that Oregon outgained them in rushing yards, 139. Yes. That's crazy, especially with those running backs. So overall, I feel like Penn State, they're not completely out of it yet, and just the breakdown of the game, I don't think they're completely out of it yet, but I think they're going to have to try to figure out a way to start off a little bit more explosive and hot to stay in these games.
I completely agree.
I'm worried a little bit. And I'm going to tell you why, because Ohio State is in a few weeks. What do you think about the trajectory of Penn State after this game? Like, what do you think? Do you count Penn State out, or do you think that it's going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, I mean, they're going to bounce back, or, what do you think?
I think that the winner of the Indiana-Oregon game and the winner of the Penn State-Ohio State game are the Big Ten championship game. So it's okay to have lost to Oregon if you beat Ohio State. They have fairly easy schedule up until Ohio State, right? They have UCLA, Northwestern, Iowa, a bye, and then Ohio State, but it's at Ohio State, and I think Ohio State is the best team in the country at this moment. So tough, very tough. But if they can win that one at Ohio State, I think that completely negates the Oregon loss.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like if Penn State doesn't start off a lot better on offense, it could go off the rails. I'll clip it. Why not?
At this point, we feel the same about Oregon, right? Because it didn't start off well offensively for them in this game either.
That's true.
Then
we can say the same thing about Oregon too, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think both teams will probably end up making the playoffs anyway. So it's like Joel, what do you know? I think they're going to end up making the playoffs anyway, but if we're talking about just conference title hopes, Penn State's entering another must-win scenario going on to November 1st, I think.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Like, they got to win. Like, they have to find a way to go into Columbus and beat Ohio State, which is not a very easy place to play. So
no.
I mean, I don't know. I don't I don't know what else to say but that. But I mean, final score of this game was 30-24. Oregon defeats Penn State. Oregon has a bye this week. They play Indiana. Penn State, as the schedule shows, they have UCLA. So that's a bounce back game for them this coming up in the Rose Bowl, a sold out Rose Bowl, I'm hoping. Cross their fingers.
Hey, one can only hope.
Yeah, exactly. As we cross our fingers, one can only hope. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 kick on CBS. Alabama and Georgia. Let's clap at that game because that game was awesome. I mean, I think both teams played well. I made the bold pick that Alabama was going to go into Athens and knock off Georgia. And I was right. Listen, golf clap for me again. Like, I got that one right. Final score was 24-21. Alabama defeated Georgia. Georgia played really good in this game, actually. And we're going to talk about Georgia in a minute, but Georgia played really well in this game. It's just the problem. And the problem is Alabama. That's their problem. They just have a Bama problem. Kind of like how Tennessee has a Georgia problem. It's the same thing, but with Alabama, with Georgia. Georgia just has an Alabama problem. That's all it is. And Bama played really well in this game. So did Georgia. I think this game was a lot better than last year's. Probably not in terms of, theatrics and excitement at the end. But if we're talking about, like, just both teams playing really competitive, I thought that the game overall was really good from both teams. Georgia didn't play bad, I don't believe.
I think only putting up 21 points on offense is not enough. If I'm just being honest. Like, I think maybe this is just me as a coach's kid, right? The least you can expect of your offense is 3 touchdowns and a field goal, which is exactly what Alabama got, right? And it won them the game. So it proves my point, if I must say. I totally agree with you. Georgia has Alabama problem the same way that Tennessee has a Georgia problem. And some sports host, forgot who, picked Alabama this week, got a whole bunch of ridicule. And he said, when I can start seeing Georgia pick one off of Alabama, I'll start picking Georgia. But until I see that happen, Alabama's going to win because they've won all of them. And while I personally wanted Georgia to win, I love it for Kalen DeBoer. I do. I think he was up to an impossible task at taking over at Alabama. I don't think anybody was going to, not a single person was going to live up to the greatness that is Nick Saban. And so it's an awful position to be in. So I love it for him. But back to Georgia. I don't think 21 points is enough. You need to at least get 24. I don't think they played bad, but they needed to do more. They were not good on third down conversions. And it's really hard to win football games when you can't convert on third downs. And generally that means that you lost at the line of scrimmage, right? So, I mean, it was a great game. It was an exciting game. I love it. It's exactly what I'd want to happen. I agree. I don't think they played bad, but I don't think 21 points is ever something you should expect to get the job done.
Absolutely. Usually we talk about the winning team first. But we'll talk about Georgia really quick because I think this is going to be interesting. They put up 227 rushing yards. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And still lost. If you
still didn't convert third down.
And then still didn't convert on third down. If that didn't tell you that Georgia doesn't have an Alabama problem, I don't know what does. Yeah. They do have an Alabama problem. It is in their mind, regardless of neutral site, regardless of in Athens or in Tuscaloosa, which they're going back to Tuscaloosa next year. I believe it's a part of their new scheduling, 9-game schedule. But, I mean, 2 for 8 on third down, negative circle moment there. 6 penalties for 68, negative circle moment there. Costly, and I mean costly, boneheaded decision at the end of the game, which irked me a little bit. Yeah. Cost them the game, which we're not going to rain too much on, but that's a negative right there. You don't make those crucial penalties right there. So all that to say is those are the negatives, but if you want to look at the positives heading in throughout the rest of the year, Georgia's running game's back. Last year, they really couldn't run the ball all that well. their running game's pretty much back. Nate Frazier
Yeah.
and Josh McCray can run the football for that team. And we're going to talk about the running game here in a little bit because the last game that we're going to talk about here got us a little bit under our skin. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the bottom line is this. Georgia running game back. They played good. It was a lot better than their game last year against Alabama. So, I mean, all credit goes to them. They just got to, get better at third down conversions. They got to get better at, not making those boneheaded decisions at the very end of the game. Just be more disciplined, especially in game crunch time scenarios. And that's really much about it. Other than that, Georgia's going to make the playoffs, I'm sure. They're not out of it completely, obviously. And, I mean, I wasn't surprised if they, and this is a bold take here, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't lose another game. So that's just I think they're going to win out, honestly. By the way their schedule sets up, I think Georgia's going to be favored in the rest of their games. I could see them winning out.
I could see them winning out. I think the only game that worries me is Ole Miss. And, how could I disrespect my conference? And Georgia Tech.
And Georgia Tech.
That's the only two games on their schedule that I'd say worried for them over.
I think Georgia Tech, because it's rivalry week, like you said. I mean, no one's going to, throw everything out the window, right?
Throw everything out the window. And Georgia Tech is better this year than they were last year.
And they have a shot at going undefeated.
And Georgia is worse than they were last year, in my opinion. I don't think they're bad. I just don't think they're as good as they were last year.
That's a bold take there. Dropping another hot take there. That's a bold take. I think that's the opposite. I think they're better this year than they were last year. That's bold. I like that, though. See, this is why we bring Savanah on, guys. She has the bold takes. Listen, we can disagree on that maybe, but it's fine. I like the boldness of that take. I mean, 227 rushing yards. I mean, that's really good. They still lost, which is crazy. And 6.7 yards per play compared to Bama's 5.2. But now let's talk about Alabama really quick because Alabama looked really good. Now, could the wheels fall off? That's another question I'll ask. We'll go back to that question here in a little bit. Ty Simpson looked really good.
Yeah.
Bounced back from that Florida State game in the past few games quickly. 24 for 38. 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. Positive circle moment for me because I think Ty Simpson made some really good plays in this game. Alabama, 280 passing yards, 117 rushing yards. The running game was a little bit better. Now they have Jam Miller back from injury. Positive circle moment there. I think time of possession, they ate up clock, and I think that was really good. Playing ball control, football, and no turnovers or, 4 penalties for 16 yards. Pretty clean football from Alabama. So they played really good. Those are the positives there. A big positive circle moment for me was 13 for 19 on third down. 68% on third down. That is tremendous. And I think they looked really good on third down. But back to your analysis, because I want to hear what you think about Alabama. Do you think the wheels are going to fall off? You probably already know where I'm going to go with this, but just...
Yes, I am worried for them because Georgia has a Bama problem, but Bama's got its own problems. And I think one of those problems might be Vandy in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
That's where I was going with it. Vanderbilt, and I'm not going to break down much of the game because that will be, spoiler alert, a Pigskin Frenzy game for Week 6. So we're going to have a very special guest on Thursday for that one as our guest picker. And we'll break down that one down on Thursday. But in your eyes, they're 12.5-point favorites entering that game.
Too many. Too much.
You think it's too much? I think so, too. I think so, too. Vanderbilt's a good football team. Is it a sequel? Do you think we're seeing a sequel right now? That's what's starting to scare me a little bit because they're coming off of a Georgia high, a nice win, snapped a 33 home game winning streak in Athens, and then Vandy comes back into town. So it's like,
I don't think Alabama loses. I think Vandy keeps it close, makes it interesting, comes down to the wire, but it's in Tuscaloosa. Like you said, they're coming off the high of beating Georgia. I think Bama wins it. But it's definitely not the Vanderbilt of years past that they're playing this weekend.
Right. My dad is an Alabama fan, so shout out to my dad. He says this is not your old school type Vanderbilt that we're up against. And I said, I agree. I talked to my dad the other day. I was like, I agree. I was sitting there and going, listen, I know. I've seen all of this. I'm aware. So I think Bama's in for it Saturday. I think they're going to be in a game.
Yeah, 100%. I have to give my one shout out of Alabama from this week. It was just so awesome. How could I not? Who would I be if I wasn't going to talk about the big men, right? When there was like 40 seconds left in the second quarter, Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson throws like a screen to the 6'7", 366-pound tackle Caden Proctor to set him up for 1st and goal. And you know what? That's the kind of stuff I love to see. And so anyways, I just, like I said, love it. Number 5, I apologize, I don't know his name on Alabama. Picks up a great block for the big man who almost gets a tutty. It's almost a big man tutty. But just so funny. Have to call it out. If anyone is going to call out a big one for the big boys, it has to be me. So that was the highlight of that game for me. And to be honest, in that moment, I was like, oh no, Alabama's going to win it.
And not only that, what a play call by Ryan Grubb, man. Offensive coordinator for Alabama. What a play call. I think he is the saving grace of that offense. I really do. Because last year they were kind of out of sync. This year, they're in sync, man. And it's all because of Ryan Grubb. So,
well, and that's DeBoer's guy, right? He wanted him last year and didn't get him for whatever. And not like didn't get him. You know, people need to take the opportunities that are best for themselves. I don't mean that in any negative type of way toward either of them. But got him back, and clearly that was what was needed. So I do agree there.
Absolutely. Alabama's got a tough 3-game stretch. I would worry about it a little bit. I mean, Vanderbilt, that's at home.
Yep.
They got to travel to Missouri the next week.
Oh, you're right. Missouri, then Tennessee.
Missouri's a top 4 offense. That's going to be a shootout in Como, man. That's going to be a shootout. And then after, it's the 3rd Saturday of October with Tennessee at Alabama, which I favor Alabama because of where it's at. But, I mean, you look at Missouri, that one's a one to keep an eye on for sure.
I think that they win 2 of the next 3.
Yeah. You think you think they drop one?
Yeah, I think there's a chance they lose to Tennessee at home. I think they win the next 2.
So
Tennessee's good.
I agree with that. I agree with the 2 out of 3. I'm going to flip it.
You think they lose to Mizzou?
I think you probably already seen my post and everything about me and Mizzou. I'm really high on Missouri. I think they have a really good offense, and Ahmad Hardy is an absolute animal at the running back spot.
Yeah.
Along with Jamal Roberts. I think they're both really good. I don't know. I think Missouri's really good. Como's going to be really excited. It's going to be rocking there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's going to be.
No, I get it.
I'm not going to pick that game yet. I'm not going to say they're going to lose or win yet. I'll backtrack on that. But if there's a game that they lose out of the 3, I will say Missouri most likely. But we'll see about it. We'll think about it. I may pick Alabama still, but final score of this game was 24-21. Georgia next week though has Kentucky, so they should have a bounce back, win out of that one, and then Auburn. And then the showdown with Ole Miss, which leaning between the 2 teams, everyone's going to sit there and think, are you crazy after what they did to LSU? I lean towards Georgia in that one. I really do.
I do too. It's at Georgia, and like we've said, Georgia has a Bama problem, but they don't got a losing problem at Sanford Stadium.
Yeah. It's just Alabama. It really is. Yeah. It's just Bama. And Ole Miss's running defense is suspect. And Georgia can run on that defense, I believe. And that's not really saying anything about Ole Miss. You're like, what are you talking about, LSU? We're going to talk about that game. But Georgia put up 227 yards against Alabama.
Yeah.
I think they can run the ball on Ole Miss, and I think they will run the ball on Ole Miss. So Ole Miss has got to figure out a way They got until October 18th to figure out a way to stop it, but we'll see. Georgia probably won't lose another game. Bama, they beat Georgia 24-21. That's the final score. The last game that we did on Pigskin Frenzy on Thursday, and the game that I got wrong because Joel's going to pick LSU, right? And of course, I'm going to pick LSU. And of course, they're going to let me down, right? They're going to let me down. 24-19 was the final score. Ole Miss beats LSU. Got it wrong. I told Jake Crane flat out in front of his face, I just think they have a shot, LSU does, at running the football. Silly me, right? I mean, why would I say that, right? Let's talk about Ole Miss before we talk about LSU, because I'm going to go off on LSU here in a little bit, calmly, but it's pretty bold.
Okay.
Ole
All right,
Miss.
let's talk Ole Miss. 480 yards of offense, the most allowed by LSU this season. Lane Kiffin, sir, cook, my guy.
Yes.
Cook.
He did good. He really did good.
He did amazing. I said this on a TikTok I posted the other day. I previously thought Sark was the offensive guru that Lane Kiffin actually is. He is the best offensive play caller in the country. He is the best offensive coordinator. I know that he is the head coach, but if you know, obviously he calls the offense as well. I think he is incredible. I was not wrong. I picked Ole Miss to win this game. Matter of fact, I had the bold take that Ole Miss would absolutely blow them out, which they did not. However, Ole Miss could have scored one more time there at the very end, which would have been a little bit more blowout-y. Had a lot of LSU fans having to backtrack on their bookmarks of my tweet. I just knew that they weren't going to lose. I knew they weren't going to lose because it has to be brought up. I'm sorry. I am just a girl after all, so we have to talk about it, right? His daughter posting the picture that week of her dating the Weeks kid on LSU.
Yeah, Whit Weeks.
Yes. Which, if you don't know, Whit Weeks' older brother before he transferred to LSU played at UVA. So I do know that family, great people. I'm not trying to talk about them, but just hilarious story, timeline, all this, that, and the other. There was a lot of uproar that she wasn't wearing LSU stuff to the game. Everyone's like, well, was she trolling? Her dad's the biggest troll ever. Like, no, I don't think she's trolling. I think they're really dating. And everyone's like, oh, she didn't wear LSU stuff. Let me set the record straight. If you don't follow me on Twitter and didn't see this, never, and I mean never, would I root for a boyfriend over my dad.
Right.
Literally never. Now, if that man's my husband, that's a little bit of a different story, right? I'd probably wear a split jersey, half for my dad, half for my husband. Same way I would do it for my brother and my dad if they played each other. But everyone's like, wow, I thought she'd be wearing LSU stuff. No! What? She would never. So anyways, I knew after all that shenanigans, there was not a chance in hell that Lane Kiffin was losing to his daughter's boyfriend. It just wasn't going to happen.
She had a patch on,
wasn't.
a 40 patch.
Yeah, no, she did. And that's what I said in my tweet. Like, she handled it perfectly, right? Like, that's, I may or may not have done the exact same thing when I was in college and dated somebody from the rival school who my dad coached for. And I would have done the exact same thing. So I think it was appropriately handled, but like I said, there was no way Lane Kiffin was losing to his daughter's boyfriend. Anyways, more on Ole Miss. They went for 480 yards. That was their best allowed total by LSU this season, like I said. Chambliss went off 314 yards, 1 touchdown, had 71 rushing yards himself. Their running back, Lacey, carried the ball for 87 yards on the ground. I mean, it's not like a record-breaking day, but that's almost 100 yards. You got to take it where you're going to get it. I think they were also really good on third down conversions. I can't remember the exact. I know on the contrast, and we'll talk about LSU in a second, but they were horrible on third down conversions, 2 for 11. You don't win football games that way. Caden Lee hauled in 4 catches for 70 yards and a tutty. Honestly, it was just well-rounded. Like I said, the man can cook, and he cooked. The defense even did well because holding a team to 19 points is holding them to less than that threshold I said, which is 3 touchdowns and a field goal, 24 points. And so, honestly, it was just a well-rounded game by Ole Miss. And like I said, they could have scored again there at the end. And so, really, like, they're legit. I think that this year's Ole Miss team is what everyone thought Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart would be last year. Sorry, that was so long-winded.
No, I'm breathing for myself, not you. You're good. You did great. I said it last week, for everybody listening, that Trinidad Chambliss was going to start this game and he was going to play. I said this before On 3 reported it. Guys, this is prodigy of college football stuff, guys. I said this was going to happen, and it did.
Yeah.
Because it's not Austin Simmons' job anymore. It's not. And I know, look, I love Lane Kiffin. I know he's going to spin it and say, oh, he's hurt and all that. Look, dude, he is. The man had 4 interceptions in the first 2 weeks of the season. That's pretty hefty for the first 2 weeks. Trinidad Chambliss only had 1 here. He played well against Arkansas, played well against this game, played well against Tulane. I think this job's his. I think Austin Simmons may want to think about, and look, you know what? I'll just even stop saying it. You guys already know what I was going to say there with Austin Simmons. You can just put that in your imagination. I won't say it. You already know. I won't say it.
Yeah.
But Chambliss is their guy. He's their guy moving forward. And if they keep playing like this, who knows? They may beat Georgia. I'm not going to say they are. I lean towards Georgia, but they could beat Georgia. Who knows? They got Oklahoma, Georgia, and Mississippi State. Those are their 3 games. And State's always going to give them a game. Even though Savanah predicted the Mississippi State outcome, they're shocking the world. That doesn't matter. It's still going to be a game regardless of State's 5-0, 4-1, or 1-8. Doesn't matter. 1-12. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be a game either way. It's the Egg Bowl. But those are their next 3 games. Here is my thing. They look good on offense. Defense is still suspect. But here's the problem. We're going to get to LSU here in a little bit. Positives were 8 for 16 on 3rd down. Great. Ball control, amazing. Positive circle moments all around. We'll circle that. 5.7 yards per play, great. They were calling great plays, wonderful. Here is what concerns me. If this was any other team, Ole Miss would have lost. 2 turnovers, 109 yards worth of penalties off of 14 penalties. 14 for 109 yards. Very undisciplined football. They would have lost if it was Georgia, even State, Tennessee, anybody they played.
Yeah.
They would have lost.
Totally agree.
They would have lost. But, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, they played LSU. And LSU, like I've said the past few weeks, looked rough. But before we get to that, Ole Miss is in prime position, if they keep playing the way they're playing, to go towards the college football playoff and sneak in. I wouldn't say, I think they will lose a game. Yeah. I believe that. I don't think that their defense is elite enough. And I'm not going to, that's not me hating on their defense. I'm not hating. I'm just being real. I don't think they're elite enough on defense. LSU just made their defense look good. That's point blank, the truth. I think their defense is not bad, but it's not the best. And I think that's what's going to cost them a game. Now, their offense is great. I'm not saying I think Trinidad Chambliss makes that offense look explosive. I think the reason why I put them at 9th is because they, preseason conference standing projections didn't matter anymore because we're in season. But the reason why I put them there is because of the defense. And I've been right about the defense so far.
Yeah.
But I think their offense is more explosive with Chambliss in there. I think he's the starting quarterback, and Ole Miss looks really good with him in there. And Lane Kiffin, like you said, is... By the way, I recommend the documentary. Documentary was fantastic on Lane Kiffin. He is the best play caller right now in college football. No wonder people want him. I mean, really, no wonder. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to look who, if not know if more jobs are going to open up, but there's going to be a lot of people who want him. Florida wanted him last year. Auburn wanted him a couple of years back. No wonder people want him because he's really good at offensive football. So,
yeah. Absolutely.
And the reason why their defense looked so good was because LSU's offense. And I said this a couple of weeks back. I said, and even with Jake Crane on the show Thursday, I said, LSU. I started making those noises because I was like, okay, because they're concerned.
I think LSU is fraud.
Oof. And look, that's a point to be. I don't even know if that's a point to be argued anymore. Honestly, I mean, you can go ahead. You can give your analysis on the game. I'll probably be long-winded on this subject, so go ahead.
They lost to Clemson, or excuse me, they beat Clemson, right? Which clearly doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They beat Florida, clearly also doesn't matter. They're frauds. I will expand on that. I was like, they were getting all these high rankings and ratings and all this, that, and the other, and it's like, for what? They've proven nothing. They've played nobody who's relevant, or people who we thought would be relevant and aren't. So I knew that's why I knew they were going to lose. It was their first true test, and they weren't ready. Going into this game, they were ranked number 4. That's insane. Like, truly, think about that. Like, that's like, are we sure that these people that are creating these polls, which we've actually have confirmation that they're not doing them, so, respectfully and watching these games. But, I mean, that just proves the point, right? There was no world where LSU should have been ranked number 4. Like I said, they had 2 for 11 on third down conversions. They were limited to under 300 yards of offense. Again, you're not winning football games if you're limited to under 300 yards of offense. You're just not. And then, like you said, they were gifted 105 yards in penalties, and they still didn't win. I know you're going to go in on this, but is Nussmeier a fraud, or is he hurt? Or what is the situation? He was 21 for 34, had 200 yards and a touchdown. Honestly, he wasn't the main issue. The main issue was the 57 rushing yards. Because again, you need to eat the clock, you need to win in the trenches, and 57 rushing yards isn't that. They averaged 2.6 yards per carry, which again, 2.6 yards on 4 downs is like on 3 downs is not a first down. So, I mean, yeah, if you went for it on every 4th down, sure. LSU scored first. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They did. Right? 7-3.
They did. Yeah. And it was like a tipped pass, and they should have had a touchdown, and they had to settle for 3, right?
I think so. It was for LSU. Yeah, they got the cut.
They scored, right?
Yeah, they scored. Yeah, it was a tip pass, and then Nick Anderson called it for a touchdown.
Yes, that's right. I apologize. Sorry. Like I said, if you don't know, I do a lot on college football Saturdays. I can't.
You're fine.
But they scored first. If you don't know, 70% of the time, the team that scores first wins the game.
Right.
So it kind of just went all downhill from there. LSU turned the ball over in the red zone. Nussmeier had an interception on the Ole Miss 12-yard line. That derails a drive. You're at Ole Miss. You lose your momentum. Later, forced fumble on Caden Lee. Recovered in the end zone by Whit Weeks. They had great field position. They didn't capitalize. It was really just like one thing after another. And then they're kicking field goals. And Ole Miss is scoring touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, they don't convert on the 2-point conversion attempts. Ole Miss converts on a 4th down. You can't let those things happen. It's just like a whole bunch of things that you can't let happen. And the same way that everyone says that James Franklin can't win the big game, neither can Brian Kelly.
Well, I take a breather for a second. Okay, let's blow up some more. Now, Brian Kelly said after the game, you know what? Before we go into that, let's look at their positives. I think their defense was positive.
Yeah.
Because their defense has been positive all year. And that's the point. Their defense is the only thing positive right now going for LSU. I think their defense did the best as they could. Even though it was 32 minutes compared to their 27 minutes, it was like a 5-minute difference in time of possession.
Yeah.
Majority of the plays, 84 total plays compared to their 56 total plays.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still on the field pretty much the whole game, that defense is. And against an offensive play caller, two good offensive play callers like Lane Kiffin, like Charlie Weiss Jr., you're going to get gassed. And I think LSU's defense just got gassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's 100%. The positive right there. 2 for 11 on third down. Huh?
He goes, that's it. That's where we cut the crap. Now let's get into it.
Literally, yeah. And then she's right, guys, because that's literally it. Negative circle moments, because there's multiple. 2 for 11 on third down. 57 rushing yards. 57 rushing yards. That is, look, if you want to hear what a 90s hip-hop video when they say, like, man, that's whack, because it is. It was whack. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't good. They can't run the ball. And I feel like once they did try to run the ball, you usually keep on trying to run it, but they would quit and not run the ball. They would give up on running the ball. Yeah. So I was, like, confused, like, okay, you can at least try at the same time, but they're not even trying to run the ball. Louisiana State University and running the football is so, like, that's literally the bread and butter right there. That's usually what ticks LSU's offenses, at least, in the history of LSU, is running the football, smash mouth running the football. And guess what? The past at least 2 to 3 years, it hadn't been that way. And it's like now it's reaching it's like literally it's sinking. It's reaching its boiling point now. It's just, you can't run the football this year. And the running woes have now finally caught up to them. Now, it's not just running the football, though. It's also throwing the ball. Because now it's bleeding into the throwing game. You can't, the receivers aren't getting open. And what's so crazy about this is now I'm starting to go off because they're talented. Aaron Anderson, Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, Bauer Sharp, Harlem Berry, Caden Durham, Trey'Dez Green. It's just they are talented on the help. Like they're the helps there.
Yeah.
Now they're playing like, okay, they're not doing much. They had the number 1 transfer recruiting class in the portal. The number 1 transfer recruiting class. Did you know that they had the number 1 transfer class? I'll say it again.
Because second was Texas Tech,
yeah.
And I had said something about it, like who's better than Texas Tech, and people were like, LSU, and I was like, okay, I didn't mean it like it was rhetorical.
Yeah.
But yeah, it means nothing if you can't develop the talent that you get out of the portal or have them work together as a team or aren't familiar with like team continuity when you get a whole roster of new people.
Right.
Yeah, it means nothing.
And that goes to show, like right there, it literally 14 penalties and 109 yards, 2 turnovers, and you still lost. But everything's fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Look, we're just trying to win the game. You lost to a team that had 109 penalty yards with 14 penalties with 2 turnovers. That doesn't happen. Not on occasion. I mean, maybe on occasion, but I guess this is one of those rare occasions. That's how you know there's a problem going on with the offense.
100%. 100%.
It literally, 2 for 11 on third down. What else can you say that's positive? There's nothing positive. It's all defense. They're carrying the team. Now, Nussmeier. We can get into Nussmeier, too. Is he hurt? Is he playing bad? Who knows? He could, look, he has an oblique injury. That's what the ruling was, and it came out, which was weird. It was a weird timing that it came out. Everything, I don't know what to believe about LSU right now. I don't like, and this is with any team. I'll go off about any team with this. When you're covering a team, when you're covering football, it's so weird because they're projected to be really good. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, what's going on with them? Why is their offense like this? And then all of a sudden entering week, 4, Southeastern Louisiana, he just drops. Garrett Nussmeier's, dealing with an upper body injury. And you're like sitting there going, where did this come from? Like, what happened? Is this why they're going so bad? Oh, but he's fine. He's good. Everything's great. He's fine. Everything's good. He's going to be good. Get him going against Southeastern Louisiana, and he did make some good throws. He made some bad throws, but he made some good throws, during his upper body. Yeah, but it's also Southeastern Louisiana. No offense to them. It's also them. Whole different conference, whole different division. And then here comes the Ole Miss game. In my opinion, I said this last with shout out to Brandon Marcello from CBS Sports. I had him on the show during the week 4. I said, hey, he shouldn't play. Yeah, he shouldn't play. No, they should have started Michael Van Buren. They played him, and then all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, he's got to play through it. Ole Miss is coming up, and then he'll have a chance to rest and get fully healthy during the bye week. Okay, great. Then they lose to Ole Miss, and then all of a sudden we hear Brian Kelly say at the postgame presser, I'm not going to really comment much on Nussmeier. All I can tell you is he's healthy. So he's either A, he's healthy, or B, he's just got to play through it and he'll be fully healthy out of the bye week. I don't know what to believe anymore. LSU fans are feeling the same way. They don't know what to believe. I think that there needs to be change on the offense. I think Joe Salone needs to go. I think there needs to be a new offensive play caller. He's not been the best offensive play caller. I've said that, though, previously. I think that Brian Kelly needs to adjust the offense quick. I've already said this, and Savanah can testify to this because she's been on about a few times when we did this show. If Brian Kelly and LSU do not make the playoffs this year, the LSU under Brian Kelly will never make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mic drop. That's all you can say. I'm sorry for going off about this. And look, to prove my point even further, shout out to Josh Pate. We can talk about this really quick before we go to the coaching carousel because we got to talk about that. Shout out to Josh Pate. His offensive stats and LSU's offensive stats were on his show. So I got them from his show. So shout out to him. He's great. Points per game, 27 points. College football rank, 80th. Total yards per game, 364.2. Rank, 90th. Pass yards per game, 259.4. 46. Rush yards per game, 104. Total, 121st in college football. That is rough. 20 yards per play, 18th. That's the number, 20 yards per play. And it's 5 weeks into the season, folks. That's wild. 84th. And then last but not least, tackles for loss allowed, 91st with 26 tackles for loss allowed. They can't pass block. They can't run block. They can't throw. They can't run. How are you going to win football games if you can't score? And then Brian Kelly also said at the end, and I'm not trying to make this about him, but it is about him in a way. He said, okay, we got to play complementary football. The defense has got to be consistent. The defense was consistent for as long as they could have been. This is all offense. How can the defense be consistent when they're when they're getting gassed out?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying. The least you can expect of your offense is 24 points, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, 1 score per quarter. You didn't hit that.
Right.
You didn't hit that and you lost the game. Imagine that. And you're right. Like you said, the point of time of possession and why it matters is because you want your defense on the field the least amount of time possible.
Right.
And eventually, if they're out there for so long, you can't be putting the blame on them anymore. You really can't. And it's not like they gave up a ton of points. They only gave up the 24.
And the thing is, here's the deal. The thing about that is you're 100% right. The thing about all this is they're so talented on offense, but they're just not going. And that's what's so bad about this. So 2 years ago, they had a horrible defense and a championship offense. Now it's looking like they have a championship defense and not a good offense. It's crazy to think that. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. And not only that, I will sit there and say 57 rushing yards is the second fewest since 2022. That's rough. Like it's rough. There's so much you can say about this. Overall, Ole Miss blew them out.
Yeah.
You're probably going to sit there and think, okay, what do you mean by that? Score doesn't show it, and the refs helping them out doesn't show it. But Ole Miss blew them out. On paper, this game was much worse. Like, this game could have been like 38 to 13 or something like that. It really could have been.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree.
Final,
Wholeheartedly agree.
literally, final score of this game was 24-19, and it was much worse. Ole Miss is going to rock and roll. Not too worried about them yet. This is my message to LSU before we go to the coaching carousel. You have to get it under control quick. This is not me spewing hate. This is me being honest. You have to get it under control. Because if you don't get it under control, then, I mean, there goes your playoff hopes. So you got to get it under control. South Carolina's coming into town. And Lenora Sellers is going to find a way to make that defense a little bit, just put them back on their heels a little bit. So you got to figure it out by this bye week. We'll see what happens, but it's scary. Scary times in Baton Rouge.
I think LSU only wins one of their next 4.
That's a bold statement right there.
They got South Carolina at home after a bye. Okay, maybe they win that one. Maybe Lenora Sellers doesn't play. Then they have Vandy at Vandy, L. Then they play Texas A&M and then Alabama at Bama.
With that offense, yeah. I mean, literally, yeah. I mean, it's just rough. So
I mean, it's a bold take for sure. They could steal one of those, but my hopes for them are not high.
Last question on them, and then we'll cut it and we'll be done. We'll go to the coaching carousel and talk about that really quick.
Yeah.
Do you think he's on the hot seat if they lose one more game? Because that's really going to be their playoff hopes, honestly.
I think if they don't win, if they don't win out, they aren't making the playoffs because they already have. They're 1-1 in the SEC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they need to win out. I guess they could lose one more, but I don't see them just losing one more of these. They got a tough road. The easiest team they play is Arkansas, and then the next easiest team they play is South Carolina. Like, they're not. Is he on the hot seat? I have a hard time from my standpoint talking about people being or not being on the hot seat.
Yeah, I got you.
Want everyone to succeed.
Me too.
And I know you didn't mean it in that regard. Do I think he's on the hot seat? Maybe. Do I think he gets fired this year? I think if they finish worse than 500, he gets fired. But if they don't finish worse than 500, I think he has another year. Because this is the truth, and this is going to be soapboxy for a second, but a lot of these teams have these hopes and these standards that they're going to be national championship contenders every year, and that's just not the case.
Right.
There's about 6 teams every single year that can compete for a national championship, and fans just need to be happy with 8-4 seasons, because some of y'all are never going to be better than 8-4 seasons. And I don't mean it to be a hater, right? Like I said, I'm rooting for everyone. I want my dad to win national championships. I want my brother to win national championships. But the bottom line is that this, like you said, this was the year he was going to do it. He got the best transfer class out of the portal. He needs to figure out a way to make them work better together. And the best way to probably do that is to call the closest guy he knows that's a JUCO coach who deals with this every single year and figure out how the hell he does it. Because right now they don't look like a team that has any continuity.
Right. Mic drop. That's literally it. LSU standards are really high. They won a national championship. So it's like if you don't perform to that level, and I get the first 3 seasons, but this season with the talent that they got and the money they spent, they like, this is playoff or bust. You know what I mean? So I understand this. I understand what you said. I also understand their point as well on that, because that's the truth, especially when it comes to LSU standards, because they have a high standard of, okay, we need to be at least contending, and they can't contend with that offense, and that's just the bottom line. They got to get it figured out by the bye week at least. So final score was 24-19. Ole Miss defeats LSU. Guys, I felt like we blew up a little bit there. Me and Savanah both did. We had some bold takes. So that was our Week 5 recap. Before we wrap up, let's talk about coaching carousel, because that's very interesting. We'll touch on Oklahoma State quickly, and then we'll go to Arkansas, because Arkansas is in my heart as well. Oklahoma State, let's go Mike Gundy. I really have a hard time with them letting Mike Gundy go, and I'll tell you why. I do believe maybe change could be in order, sure. I just think that they should have let him finish the season out, honestly, after what he's done for the program. I believe that. But what is your take on that?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I think the best thing that could have happened, like if it were me, what I would have done is I would have figured out how to amicably, whatever that word. I cannot say that word very well. It confuses me with a word in Spanish.
That is
But
fine.
parted ways in the off season,
Yeah.
right? Like there, and actually, head coach at NC State, Dave Dorn, said it best. He was asked about this. He said something along, and I don't want to quote him specifically. I can look up the quote and tweet it, but it was something along the lines of like, obviously, I'm never rooting on coaches' downfalls, but it's a bummer because we're all people who deeply want to finish what we started.
Yeah.
And so it's a bummer that he doesn't get to finish what he started, that he had this season. And I think, again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he meant that in any sense of the term. Like, finish out what you start. It might have been ugly. And I will, if there is one hill that I am willing to die on, if I had to pick one, it's the fact that, like, it's a double-edged sword when you let legends return as coaches at your university. Because now I know so many Oklahoma State fans that hate that man. And it's like, he has done more for your university athletics than pretty much anybody else. You have no right to hate that man.
Right.
And I agree. I wish they would have let him, in an ideal world, they would have let him finish out the season or figured out a way to start off the season, like have him have a split in the off season.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I don't think firing coaches 3-4 weeks into the season is really a good move in any regard, to be honest. Like, what does that solve? Doesn't solve anything.
But I will say this. You're right. I think a change needed to be made eventually.
For sure.
But
sure.
But I will say, like you said, I think that they should have let him finish out the season too. He's done a lot for that program, and he deserves more than what he got, I believe.
Yes. No, completely. A change, and I did not say that. Yes, a change was in order. And again, not because no disrespect to the man.
Right.
But sometimes change is just in order.
Who do you think, in your mind, is the leading candidate for the job? I would think Zach Robinson, maybe, but I don't know. The Falcon. So what worries me about this is the Falcons kind of want him out. And that worries me because it's like, okay, if they want him out, why would Oklahoma State take a chance on him as the head coach? Does that make sense what I'm saying? That's not a
Absolutely.
knock at Zach Robinson at all.
No.
It's just, why would they want to take a chance on him? So in your eyes, who do you think's like in the mix?
No comment because I know who's in the mix.
Okay, then I'll give you my thoughts. I think
Yes, continue your thoughts.
I think Zach Robinson is in the mix for sure. Still, I'll go a surprise one. He may not even be considered. I think either two people. I think John Summerall could be included in this, and probably Jeff Traylor from Texas San Antonio. I think those are two names that you can pop up. I just don't know why John Summerall would leave Tulane, but that's my thought. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, totally. I'll comment on the next coaching carousel that we discussed, but this one I just know the answer, so I don't.
Oh, absolutely. No,
say
you're good.
Falsehoods or say the real thing.
Absolutely. No, you're good. Let's talk about Arkansas, though. That broke my heart a little bit because I like Sam Pittman. I really do. Shout out to Sam Pittman. He tugs on my heartstrings a little bit because his character, everything about him was really good. I liked him. But a change was in order. I know. Let's talk about who is in the mix for that job, though. I'll give you mine, but you can go first.
Okay. I don't think I do need to put this disclaimer. This is pure speculation. This is not me having insider information. Take this for the face value that it is. There's a reason I didn't comment on the last one because I know that is not my news to share. I will never share news like that. This is sheer speculation, what I think, not based in any fact. Yes, after the disclaimer. SMU head football coach, Rhett Lashlee. I don't see them trying to get anybody else, but at the same time, I don't know that Rhett Lashlee leaves. Like, I think that Arkansas has to give him an offer that he has to refuse. But also, why are they so interested? SMU is not having the best season. And I think it's I think it's going to be very hard to win at Arkansas. And someone said it best earlier this week, and I don't remember who. It was like a tweet in passing, but I completely agree with it. The sell to Arkansas was very like, this is SEC country, this is SEC football, we can pay you this, that, and the other. But now you have Oklahoma and Texas in the mix, and Mizzou really doing well these days. And I think that really deters that's kind of really deters those kids from going to Arkansas, because I think that those are schools that are competing against each other in terms of like what they bring and what they add to the SEC. And if I had to pick between those four schools, I don't know that Arkansas would be my choice. So how can you expect some 19-year-old kid to have that be their choice as well? Right. But like I said, I think that they have to offer Rhett Lashley something he can't refuse and make him say no to them. And then if it's not him, I don't know. I am bummed. I love Sam Pittman, and I know everyone says that, but as an O-line coach's kid, I'll always root for O-line head coaches. I want them to succeed a little bit more than anybody else. But I'm also not worried about Sam Pittman. He'll get an O-line coaching job. He's one of the best who's ever done.
He absolutely is. You're right. In my opinion, I think he's one of the best O-line coaches out there, and he can develop great offensive linemen. So it's like, if you want an O-line coach out there, colleges, look, Sam Pittman is your guy.
Yes.
I agree with you, and that's why I started smiling, because I think Rhett Lashley, to me, is the guy. Now, this is not me. Listen, on this show, I'm not a news reporter. I'm just a podcast show host that I'm like a Josh Pate. I'm like a guy from Outkick. I'm like a guy who's an analyst. I'm just talking, right? I'm just a talker. I just give my thoughts about college football. My thought is that Rhett Lashley could be a guy to look out for in the SMU job. I'm not saying that from a source. I'm saying that from Joel Norris's heart.
Yeah.
He led SMU to the playoffs. I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, they won. What did they mean? They didn't win. They lost, yeah. But they went to the ACC championship. They didn't win that either, but they went to the ACC championship. He was an Arkansas alumnus. He played quarterback there. He's from there. And I believe due to those things, right, I would try to make a run for him. Now, yes, SMU's not having the, golden season right now, but to me, Arkansas, and this is not a knock at Arkansas. Everyone's going to take this as a knock at Arkansas. I think that the limit to me there is 9 games at least. 8 to 9 games winning at least. And I think Rhett Lashley can bring that to Arkansas. Maybe have one splash season in there, yes. And I think Rhett Lashley can bring that to Arkansas. I really do. I think he could recruit. I think he recruits well for SMU, and I think he could recruit well at Arkansas. I just think that they have to, like you said, I think he's in a better position at SMU, yeah, but I think they're going to have to make him an offer that he really just, okay, I can't turn this down. I got to go back.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I mean, that's really all I got on that. I mean, if you want to add a Jeff Traylor in there still, you can. I think Jeff Traylor's a really hot commodity coach. A lot of people like him from Texas San Antonio. I mean, I like him too, but I think for this job, it's either going to come down to Rhett Lashley or maybe, I mean, you can say Bobby Petrino, but I don't really know about that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, no. I don't really know about that. Well, he's competing for the job right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he for sure is, but I would hope that, and again, not rooting on anyone's downfall, but sometimes you just really need a change. And that would not be a big enough change.
Right. Rhett Lashley would be a change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's hard for him to leave SMU. He definitely has more resources at SMU than he will at Arkansas. And that's probably a hot take. People are going to be like, oh, ACC versus SEC. No. SMU has money for days that Arkansas does not have. And I'm not saying Arkansas is broke. I'm just saying SMU's got money.
And Dallas is the place to be.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, Dallas, Fayetteville. I mean, yeah, you got to weigh that into consideration too. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. But I would try to shoot for Rhett Lashley. I would shoot for the stars for Rhett Lashley. That's literally all we got, guys. That's literally it. Week 5 recap show done. Coaching carousel done. Savannah, any final thoughts as we head into week 6?
I have 2. One, I owe you and your channel a taste test. So if anybody has any recommendations, please leave them in our comments on Twitter.
Yes.
And the next time that I appear on Joel's show, I will do one. Maybe I'll even convince Joel to join in and also do a taste test with me.
I'm down.
So,
just depends on what we're drinking.
Yeah. Taste test to come. Week 6, college football thoughts. I mean, I'm ready for week 6. My dad has an easier game this week against Campbell. No disrespect. Needs a dub. So, yeah. I'm ready for week 6. Week 5 is tough.
Go Wolfpack, right? Go Pack.
Go Pack. Go Aggies. It's so funny because it's go Pack, go Aggies. And I'm like, and they're both state schools. It's like Utah State, NC State. So I just say go State at this point.
No, that's fine. Go State, go Wolfpack, go everything. Yeah. Everything that you're affiliated with, go everything. Guys, we're out of time. So a big thank you for Savanah joining us. A big thank you for all you guys just sitting back, watching, listening to some college football coverage presented by us on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram's at Pigskin_Frenzy. You'll get a lot of wacky thoughts and a lot of good, bold college football thoughts from us. The website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Big shout out to Savanah once again for joining our show. We have a very special guest coming on for Thursday's edition. Our week 6 guest picker is Matt Moscona, host of After Further Review on 104.5 ESPN out of Baton Rouge. He also hosts the Locked On LSU podcast. He's going to talk about his career. He's going to talk about LSU's season so far. He's also going to discuss the week 6 Pigskin Frenzy games on Thursday, which include Alabama and Vanderbilt, Miami and Florida State, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Iowa State and Cincinnati. Very interesting week 6 games there. We're rocking and rolling. We can't wait for Thursday. Guys, we love you all. We're praying for you all. And until Thursday, I'm Joel Norris. That's Savanah Tujague. Guys, we're so thankful for the Lord to be on doing this show for sports media and in the college football media space. We love you all. We're praying for you all. As always, stay the course.